Thank you very much. Always a pleasure coming before the commissioners. Earlier today, a letter was dropped off to the commissioners, signed by political figures in Brick, Manchester, Barnegat, Berkeley, Little Lake Harbor, Lacey Township, and Toms River. I know you all have had.
How many of those, because I see some of them right in the audience, can we have those who signed the letters stand up? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to show that everybody. Okay, I have several.
So I didn't lose my 5 minutes yet.
You didn't lose any of your 5 minutes.
Thanks.
Just tell them where you dropped to my secretary and she was gonna bring them a Carl block. How did they get distributed?
No.
Because you're all saying they didn't get them. They didn't get the letter. I got the letter. I got the letter. You gave it to me personally.
I dropped them off the car block.
Okay. All right, Carl, did you get it to the offices?
No, George walked in before I walked out and said, here, Jack told me to give these to you. Okay, and I walked down here.
Okay. So the letters have not been distributed, just so you know.
I
I apologize.
have a copy if you want. Yes, or not.
Well, you can at least talk about what's in the letter. I don't care, you give them to the clerk of the board, she'll get them passed out.
Well, I first came here to talk about this issue back on March 16th of this year. And at that time, from reading newspaper articles, I knew that a decision was, or it was my understanding that Carl Block may be stepping down and that Mike Fury would be moved up to the administrative position. And again, I have no problem with Mike Fury, very qualified. But I asked about the assistant administrative position that Mike would be leaving. And I asked if the position was advertised for. I was told no. Fine. I asked if Tristan Collins was being considered for that position. And Commissioner Haynes said, I don't know if he's being considered. No. Unfortunately, I learned that a month prior to that, a handwritten note from Commissioner Haynes was given to each of the commissioners recommending Tristan Collins as the deputy or the assistant DA. And enclosing a copy of his resume. I asked if he had been interviewed for the position. I was told no, but Commissioner Kelly at the following meeting indicated he wasn't interviewed, but he did step in. Because originally I was told he was walking down the hallway and then they sent him down to personnel because the state didn't have enough people to answer his questions, so we would do it for anybody who was employed. I was told by Commissioner Quinn that once you started the interview process, you would make it a regular process of putting it out so the public and anybody chooses to take and apply, they could. I asked if it would be advertised. I was told absolutely yes. At a subsequent meeting, Commissioner Kelly indicated that you don't always advertise. And I indicated I understood that if you were promoting from within, but when you're just bringing somebody from the outside in, I thought you should, but that's your decision, not mine. I also pointed out that Tristan Collins had recently retired, would be getting a pension, I think, of between $140,000 and $150,000, and his new position would also pay him roughly that amount. And I just questioned if you have to check off the box on the application that you already receive a significant pension to apply. Commissioner Quinn indicated to me, and I apologize for that, indicated to me that indicated to me that Carl has done a fantastic, and I'm quoting now from the minutes, a fantastic job, and that they were hoping to find somebody that would do such a job, the best person possible. And of course, I pointed out, well, why don't you just keep Carl since he wants to stay? But apparently, that wasn't in the cards at that time. And my final comment was, well, I guess my assumption that Mr. Collins would be hired by the county may be erroneous. And Commissioner Haynes told me, yes, it was erroneous. At a subsequent meeting, I brought up some of the same issues, and I was told again that no decision had been made, and my statement was, well, I'll come back here, I think, unfortunately, at some point in time, and remind you that I had predicted back in March that he would be hired as the assistant DA. At the May meeting, I was told at that time that he didn't know if he was going to be hired as the assistant, but not you, the board, whoever responded. And I said, I'm convinced that you're gonna hire Collins. And I said, I was hoping I was wrong, but I thought I'd be back here to say, I told you so. Now, you haven't adopted the resolution yet, but it is on your agenda. I now learned today for the first time that for the position of Mr. Collins, Director of Management and Budget, and Assistant County Administrator, that Julie Teron had applied. I didn't know that before. We know the capabilities of this woman. We actually know how good she is. She could do this with her eyes closed. But we're gonna reject her because we made a deal a long time ago to hire Tristan Collins. This is the worst, and I'm not talking about all three girls, this is the worst of a backroom deal. This is a political appointment, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's wrong. This woman right here, I'm embarrassing her now, so she's saying, why is George putting me out? Nobody can question her qualifications. Why wouldn't we appoint her? I'm asking you reasons. Thank you.
Okay, let me tell you the reason you never knew before. Julie only came to me, 2 weeks ago? And said, I would like to be considered. That was after we had closed the interviews that we were doing. I reopened those interviews, and Julie was interviewed by every member. As I said, at the pre-board, I suggested that the best appointment we could make for the assistant administrator would be Julie Tarrant.
Absolutely correct.
But this is not a board of one, it's a board of five. There was a lot of discussion in that board. There was some going back and forth in fact, or there was, at first, some agreement that Julie should be the next. Other commissioners spoke after that, and after they spoke, the decision was, no, we think we should stay with Tristan. That never changed my mind. I said, I'm giving you what only one commissioner has to say, and I believe that what we should do is hold off the appointment of a new administrator until January 1st. That administrator should be Mike Fiore. I believe in the best interest of everybody, Julie Tarrant should be appointed. I asked Jack Saradic, do we have to give a term of office for that position? The answer is no, you don't have to do that for the assistant administrator. So we didn't really get to how long the appointment would be for, if in fact we made that appointment. So the reason you never heard of it before is I never heard of it until Julie came in my office and decided that she would like to be considered. I like the idea for a very selfish reason. I want Julie to continue as our CFO, and I thought that would be a good selling point for her to stay, which she told me today she's gonna stay as CFO anyway in January, and we will be reappointing her for that position. But that's why we never made that public before, because honestly, we didn't know it. And I had to reopen. As I said, I would interview anybody that asked to be interviewed. Julie asked to be interviewed. I think, I agree with you, she'd be an outstanding candidate, but this is a board of consensus. It's not a board of one. So I made my best effort, and gave my little speech of how I thought we should reorganize. And the board, as a board, decided to go a different direction.
I would simply say that the hallmarks of a good commissioner board would be honesty and transparency. And I think here, those requirements would dictate holding off the resolutions you have as P1 and P2. Julie would absolutely do a fantastic. I'm sorry, Julie, I know I'm probably in trouble because I'm praising you, but, and keeping Carl on as the administrator. I just want to make one other comment, and that's on P3. P3 is the appointment of a member to the OCUA. I know that Carmen Amato, who is an alternate, have requested to be considered as the full-time or permanent appointment, and I am kind of surprised that you don't promote an alternate to the full-time position, and instead you put somebody that has no experience. I just think that's wrong, and I think that's indicative of not a thorough discussion of people that are qualified. Carmen knows the OCUA.
Or indicative of me not getting your way.
Could be. Happens once in a while.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, George. Appreciate it. And note, I did give you much more than 5 minutes because really, I know that today, many of these people are here with you, and you asked a lot of the questions they had. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Yes, sir.